All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am sorry for the delay. I'm trying to do a lot of different things at once. Gonna need to recruit another admin for the next qualifier, I think. But yeah, anyways, so we are here for the third qualifier of the Rise of the Mortarchs campaign. So far, this is what the bracket is looking like. So we have Randomix and Fistek in the top bracket. They will be our first match. They are currently picking their armies as we speak. We have Prussian Prince in the bottom bracket, and the last contender is to be decided at the moment. There's a little bit of a mix-up with that match, so hopefully we can get that thing figured out by the time this first two contenders have wrapped up. So let's swing on over to our first match. We'll get the marks or these stuff fixed up real quick. All right. All right, so here we go. All right, so yes, for our first picks and bans, so we had Random Mix was picking Coast, banning Dowie and Empire, and Fistek has gone with the High Elves for his counter pick. So that is, yeah, it's pretty good pick for against the Coast. I mean, it's both sides have some good tools. It really kind of depends on which way they go. I know Randomnix has a very nice build against the Coast as the High Elves that I've seen recently. We'll see what Fistek decides to go with, but it should be a good matchup either way. So just remind them that we are live. And that I am ready to go whenever they are. All right, one last. Okay, so I am set. Fistek is set. We're just waiting on Randomix. All right, so that's, yeah, take a look at the chat now that I've got kind of a little bit of a spare. Oh, and of course, all right, we are going to have to take another quick. Be right. The dog demands more attention. All right, so yeah, I'm sorry, I'll be right back. Dog needs to be let out. All right. Okay, now we are back again. All right, hopefully that will be Okay. All right, I have to get my settings updated. All right, here we go. So yeah, it's gonna be Vampire Coast against High Elves, and we will get everybody loaded in just a second. Okay, everything is looking good. Yeah, I'm sorry, Prussian Prince, for the delay. All right, so looks like we have our armies. Yeah, and for the Vampire Coast, so we have ourselves quite the artillery. So we have a bunch of mortars. So 4 mortars, gonna be quite going for that anti-infantry. We have Count Noctilus up on his Necrofex. We have a lineup of deckhand mobs, 1 with polearms. We have a couple of gunnery mobs, a couple handguns, 2 bombers. We have some scurvy dogs. We have the Morngulls, as well as the Night Terrors ROR, and we have some deck droppers up in the sky. So over for the High Elf army, we have a bit more of a skirmishing cav force. So we got 3 Illyrian Reaver archers. We have some Reavers, a couple Lothern Sea Guard. We have a lineup of 4 archers, and then front line is going to consist of spearmen all the way down the line. We have 2 bolt throwers. We have Leith Anar actually as the lord here, and a mage of fire, bringing of course burning head, fireball, and flaming sword. So yeah, Leith Anar is actually a fairly good pick in this particular matchup. I know I've definitely seen random mix use it to very good results, so we'll see how well Fistek is able to handle that. But yeah, definitely quite the array of mortars on Random Nix's side. I don't know if just the 2 bolt throwers is going to be enough to really deal with that, though we do have the fireball from the Mage of Fire, which will be able to help snipe out some of those models if he goes for that. Of course, we also have Count Noctilus, who I'm sure Leith Anar is going to be plucking away at all game. And Leith Anar can also snipe out artillery pieces fairly well, so... Oh, here we go. Okay, so I can take a look at the chat quick, because it looks like there's quite a bit. So yeah, I see you guys are referencing that I guess the problem matchup right now. There was a few rule break concerns on both sides, but yeah, we'll hopefully get that squared away. But anyways, yeah, the shots are opening up. Yeah, of course we have that fireball coming in. It looks like it is perhaps targeting one of the mortars by the looks of it. Coming in, unable to snipe out one of the pieces there, as the other bolt throwers, at least right now, are just firing into the front of the zombie deckhand mob. But yeah, the mortars are doing quite a number on the front line of spearmen right now. The Eagle bolt throwers have not been able to really put much of a dent, if any, into the mortars themselves. All are at 3 models. It looks like another fireball is arcing in from the fire mage, seeing if this is going to have any better luck than the last one. And it is able to connect it, so that did drop 1 model there. But yeah, currently the shots from the mortars are just absolutely destroying the infantry forces. There's now a couple summons coming down from Count Noctilus. So we have a nice kind of crossfire coming in with the pistol gunnery mobs as the Wraith Storm coming down. Good idea, actually, getting into the middle of the gunnery mob there, so the kind of get a little bit of splash damage on both sides. It looks like we have a burning head coming through, kind of roasting one of the mortars. We'll see how well it is able to clip through this other one, because it does look like it is going to go right through it, doing some pretty good damage there. Is going to be able to cause crumbling on both of those two models as the shots continue to rain in. Still two models though firing in, as the archers are now able to open fire. Yeah, the scurvy dogs getting kind of shut down pretty quickly by the archers, and the spearmen getting sandwiched there. But now we have the Morngls coming in, getting a nice charge in on these kind of motionless Illyrian Reavers and the spearmen, so they should be able to get some good value there. Should be able to quickly break that, as well we have the bombers in reserve. But now the Illyrian Reaver archers are starting to get into the back line, maybe hopefully shut down these mortars a bit, as two of them they have dissipated from the field from the crumbling. Another burning head that could be able to get through, but the fire mage is pretty critically low right now, taking a lot of shots from the surrounding handgun mobs, and it is routing, so currently right now they're going to have a little lack of fire, but yeah, there's quite a bit of focus fire actually coming into these Night Terrors. We have both of the Eagle Claw bolt throwers, looks like they are firing in. Looks like Lethanar, I believe, was the one shooting into Count Noctis still. And yeah, the mortars are, for the time being, at least shut down. This unit is able to get back onto its artillery pieces to resume firing in. Balance power is in the coast favor right now, but I mean, if these Reavers are able to get these mortars offline, and Noctis is getting down pretty low, as both of the Eagle Claw bolt throwers will be able to then focus fire, and we also have a Lethanar who is continuing to fire in as well. So that's going to be a very good swing for the High Elves in this case. But we do have some Morngls now trying to push back into the back line, maybe thinking of trying to get onto these Eagle Claw bolt throwers, but they probably will be able to be at least kept from that, because we have quite the cav force in the back line for the High Elves. But yeah, now most of the ranged firepower, with the exception of Noctis, has been pretty much pushed off for the coast. It does look like the mortars were able to survive, at least for now. The shots from this handgun mod was able to push off these Reavers, so they do have a little bit of artillery still firing in. But yeah, the Eagle Claw bolt throwers are still doing fairly well on ammo as well. This one's still over half ammo, and the shots are just peppering into Count Noctis. And Lethanar has plenty of ammo as well, so the shots will be able to get into him. But yeah, these Morngls have been able to push back some units, though where they're at now, they're kind of in a bad spot. You're going to have all of these Illyrian Reaver archers are just going to be able to completely kite around these Morngls, and so they're not going to be able to really get into anything, so they really just need to pick a direction and go towards it. Probably go for, yeah, these Eagle Claw bolt throwers, which the Night Terrors are now getting into the back line, so they are able to shut down kind of the threats to Noctis. Noctis, I mean, he still has quite a bit of healing as well, and that mortar looks like it will continue to fire till the last of its ammo is spent, as the Illyrian Reaver archers that were trying to pressure it have been pushed off the field. But the Fire Mage is back, at least for now, though there is still some firepower in the surrounding area. Night Terrors have crumbled into the ground, but we still have a few more shots. Probably maybe go for some fireballs against Noctis, get him off the field. But yeah, currently we have some more shots coming in to these Illyrian Reavers in the back. They should probably be pushing up, get those shut down. But the kind of the dangerous pocket that the High Elves had against the coast is starting to get broken down, because these, yeah, the Eagle Claw bolt throwers are both getting pushed off completely. So yeah, now we have the Vampire Deckhens mob are now on top of them. So they are going to be able to continue to keep them from firing into Noctis. And now the mage is completely offline, and Lethanar, even with what ammo he has left, isn't going to be able to take off a healing Count Noctis. So I think, yeah, the Vampire Coasts are now pushing farther and farther ahead in the balance of power. They're not going to have, I don't think they're going to have any problems dealing with what's left, and I think the High Elves are going to be routing to army losses, as even with whatever ammo they had with the bolt throwers offline, they just weren't going to be able to deal with Noctis, so just a little too heavy on the ranged for the counts there. All those mortars, it was just a little too much to deal with. They just didn't have enough to take out all of that heavy ranged firepower. All right. All right, so yeah, for our next match, let's see what do we want to go with for our map. We can do, let's see. Let's go with Iron Sand Desert as our next one. It's always a good map. Alright, let's take a quick look at the chat and see how things are going. Alright, yeah, again, welcome to everyone that is here. Yeah, I'm still trying to pull myself probably a few too many different directions, but yeah, we'll take a quick look as they are picking their next factions, and we'll also update the scoreboard real quick as well. Alright. The pizza has entered the chat. Alright, so yeah, Fistek is going to be going coast this time, so we're going to see a coast back-to-back, and he is going to be banding dwarves and high elves. I think that high elf pick is in regards to Random Nix's build, which I'm pretty sure Fistek knows that build as well. And then, yeah, Random Nix is going to be going Empire in this matchup. So yeah, I think Empire's got a fairly favorable matchup here. Yes, the dreaded back-to-back coast. I mean, CA saying they're going to rebalance coast. I mean, I would guess that wouldn't be until the next... I hope they remove it. I'm guessing that'll be with the next DLC. Looks like Fistek has readied up, and now we're just waiting on Random Nix. Coast back to back to back. Luckily, we will not be able to have that. Can't have repeat matchups. Yeah, I mean, I like Coast, but yeah, it definitely does have a bit of a power problem. We got, I think the biggest thing that you will see is just the volume of fire that the Coast can bring, and certain units have a leadership problem as well. So I think there's ways that you can definitely balance out Coast. It just depends on what CA decides to go with. If they go too heavy on the ban or the nerfs, or will they just not go heavy enough? Alright, yeah, Fist Deck is up. We're just waiting on random nicks now. Yeah, the only real bad counter to Coast is Dawi. That's, I think, a universally agreed upon faction that is, if you bring Dawi against Coast, you have a very good chance. But, I mean, Empire and High Elves, I think, traditionally are favored, but not nearly as much. Yeah, and you have, again, I think the problem with Coast is just the overwhelming firepower, and their lords are pretty much on a tier above most other lords by a considerable margin. I mean, Harkon himself is quite an army in and of himself. I think with Wood Elves, I mean, pretty much any faction that can bring a lot of archers can do or can just spam archers have a pretty good chance, as long as they're able to deal with like the mortars, because mortars are pretty much what you bring against an archer spam. So it looks like Random Nicks is also set, so we will be getting into our next one. Yeah, you say Random Nicks never uses the dogs, but I guess maybe against High Elves, but he definitely brought it against Wood Elves, but he brought it against the High Elves last match. Wow, for some reason, yeah, I instinctively, when the army's loaded in, I went to select everything and move stuff back. But anyways, for the forces of the Empire, we have Karl Franz is leading the forces on his Griffin with a lineup of Demigryph Knights in the front. And then we have Sigmar's Sons, a couple of Flagellants, as well as the ROR, the Tattersouls Flagellants, a couple of Spearmen in the back. We have a Jade Wizard and a Bright Wizard, and as well as a lineup of Pistoliers. Take a quick look at what we have for the Bright Wizard, what he's brought. So he just has the Flaming Sword, and then we have Earthblood for the Jade Wizard. Get some nice heals for that. But yeah, definitely going very heavy on the Cav with the triple Demigryph Knights. And of course, we have Karl also going pretty bunker buster. But for the forces of the coast, we have Sirens on both sides. We have 4 of those. We have 2 units of doggos. We actually have Depth Guard today. We have 2 units of those. We have Luther up in the sky, and we have a Vampire Captain of Vampires providing some heals and summons as well, and 3 Zombie Pirate Deckhand mobs. So as the forces are engaging, the Pistoliers will have pretty good rain, as long as, I mean, Luther Harkons still only has a single shot, so the volume of fire from the Pistoliers should do fairly well, and so they'll be able to pretty much kite whatever they want. Since Coast didn't really bring anything for the ranged build, but these Depth Guard, or these yeah, these Depth Guard are getting absolutely wrecked as the Demigryph Knights and Karlfrons all converge on it. These Sirens are just like off to the side, trying to help, but just not able to do anything against them as these, yeah, the Depth Guard just quickly go out, and we have Luther up in the sky. I'm getting some shots. So that is one of the elite units already down, and these Sirens as well are also going down as well, because we have Galmaraz, the Reichling Runefang, and we had an Earthblood going down as well. So everything getting healed up after that quick little engagement, and we have the Flagellants are going to be doing very well against the zombie mobs, and of course we have the Death Guard are chasing, but the Pistoliers are just going to be able to kite all the way to the end of the map. So this is, yeah, so far I'm thinking Empire definitely looks like they have a pretty commanding position right now. I mean, Luther, I don't think is going to be able to deal with all of these knights. And yeah, now that Luther's down, he's just going to get surrounded right here, and I don't think he's going to be able to take off, especially. So yeah, Fistek quickly realizing that that build was not going to work out. But yeah, the triple Demigryph Knight just instantly killing this Depth Guard and that Siren unit, and the Coast just really didn't have any answer in that matchup, so that was quite the one-sided fray. A very good game to Random Nix, as he will take our first spot in the finals. Oh, Random Nix saying he saw your build against Hadri, so he knew what Fistek was looking to bring, and boy did he bring the counter for that. All right, so we'll update the bracket. So we got, oops. We have Random Nix advancing, and we'll take a quick look to see how things are. All right, so yes, that was the first game. We will be having our second one starting off here. So we have Prussian Prince. We'll get him if he isn't already. All right, so we'll send a little reminder to both of those. All right. Oh yeah, so Russian Prince is in the stream, so he should be joining in a second. I should have him added. So yeah, I told Evanstar to be joining this next one. Yeah, not necessarily the most ideal quarterfinal, but we'll have to move on with that. And yeah, hopefully, yeah, next time I'm going to have a few more eyes to look at things. But this is just how it's going to have to be for this one. Yeah. So yeah, it would have been good if I had heard a little bit. Well, beat isn't necessarily the right word, I would say, but yeah, Yeah, I was not made aware of just how long it was taking until pretty much after the last match had actually happened. So that is, yeah, that's going to be something again for future tournaments. Like if something's going on, and if someone's taking a long time, you just make it known that it's happening. So as soon as that I know that someone's taking a long time or anything like that, then I can jump right in. Yeah, I have not heard back from A Move, so I mean, yes, things happen. We'll just have to make it. Yeah, I'll just send out announcements before our next qualifier. Like if anyone's taking a while to make sure that time limits are being enforced. Because again, I didn't even know that things were taking a long time until well after the last match had already happened. Yeah, Bob, the A Move didn't bring that up to me until the end, so that really kind of sucked. But all right, so he said he's joining, but I do not see him yet. All right. All right, he should be in any second now, and then we will be underway. So yeah, with that screenshot. Yeah, how the rules are, I think would have needed someone a bit more, I guess, familiar with that. But I mean, technically there was space. Was there enough? That was good. That would be kind of the question to be answered with that. All right, let's send an invite then. All right. All right, so both players are now in the match. And yeah, we'll get our picks underway, and we'll hopefully get this show going without too many more headaches. So yeah, Prussian Prince is going to be going High Elves, banning Lizardmen, and Warriors of Chaos. All right, and Evanstar is going to be going with the Dark Elves. Go whoever doesn't play elves or undead. Well, looks like we've got 2 elven factions here today, Shetland, so no luck there. Yeah, J Phoenix still waiting for his Skaven. Rubber Duck of War rooting for Chaos and the Dowie. Some heavy metal picks for him. But yeah, we'll see how this match up goes. I mean, from history, I'm expecting kind of more of a kite build, at least from the Dark Elf side. So we will see how Prussian Prince is going to be able to handle that. Vote for the Halflings. Yeah, we'll see if we can... Well, I mean, we probably won't be doing any tournaments with any of those mods, but I do know there are some mods that add a bunch of races, such as, like, you got Halflings, you got Kislev, you got some of the other Far Eastern factions that I've seen stuff of. All right, Seven Star is ready, just waiting on Prussian Prince. And we will get this second semifinal matchup underway. This is, yes, the first match of that set. Full Vanguard in the enemy corner, the opposite corner camp. So yeah, I guess I haven't really brought up too much on how this tournament is working. Kind of been distracted by a few things, but yeah. So yeah, this is the Rise of the Mortarchs tournament. So this is the third qualifier. Our first 2 have been won by. So we have this list up here. So we have Imperator and Ulrich Roll are our 2 current Mortarchs. This is going to be filling out the slots of 8. So right now, I mean, hopefully we'll be able to get 8 qualifiers in by the end. Like, I'm trying to get this in before the next DLC drops, so we'll try and get all 8 in. If we are not able to do that, we're going to do more of a hybrid selection for the final slots, where pretty much based on win-loss, and we'll just kind of seed everyone accordingly by then, and there may be a potential play in game depending on how all of the stats line up. So yes, Rubber Duck of War, our next bracket or next qualifier is actually probably going to be on Friday, because I know how things are for the coming tournaments, because we have my son has his big playoff tournament coming up on Saturday. That is the first round of the playoffs, and then the following week is the finals. But Turn is going to be having his ECL on Sunday, so that kind of takes out the next 2 weekends, and the weekend after that is Labor Day and the Fresh Recruit League tournament for my son as well. So that weekend just isn't going to work for me. So to avoid going 4 weeks without another qualifier, we are going to go for a Friday qualifier as our next one, unless there is, I guess, more interest in having it on a different day. But currently right now I'm planning on this Friday. So yes, for the armies that we are going to be seeing, we have triple bolt throwers from the High Elves, a lineup of spearmen, and a 1 unit of Lothran Sea Guards. We have 2 Dragon Princes, a Star Dragon, and Alariel on her bird. So we that dreaded Alariel and Star Dragon combo with all the heals. As for Evanstar over here, we have a lineup of bleak swords in the front. We have a couple witch elves, and we have some cold one knights in the back, one of them being the ROR Knights of the Ebon Claw. We have one Reaper Bolt Thrower. We have a Morathi up in the air. Now, okay, so they are not on that mountain. And then we have two Masters as well on their Pegasus. Or I guess, what is the Dark Elf equivalent of that? So yeah, Scott, back to the Wood Elves and most likely Skaven from what pretty much everyone's been thinking. Everyone's kind of leaning towards Throt as well. They just kind of debate on what the Wood Elf legendary lords are, because there's quite a good selection that it can be. I think we have Ariel and Drika are kind of the two top qualifiers, though there are the Sisters are another good option that I'm kind of hoping for them as well. I think they would be a cool addition to the Wood Elf roster. Yeah, looking at these two armies, though, yeah, definitely have quite the Reaper Bolt Thrower range. But yeah, for the Cav forces, I think the High Elves will have the advantage, though, if the Witch Elves are able to rampage the Dragon Princes. That could be a problem for the High Elves, but we'll see how things play out. Alright, so we have shots starting to rain in on both sides. Dark Elves are targeting the Dragon Princes first. And shots raining in from the other triple Bolt Throwers into the Reaper Bolt Throwers. Kind of clipping some of the Knights of the Ebon Claw as they pass through. Otherwise, I mean, these armies are fairly similar in terms of like the infantry. I mean, the two elven factions do play kind of similar in some factions, but of course the Star Dragon is going to be a really big problem for the Dark Elves, I believe. Just with the heals that the Star Dragon is going to get and the support from the Dragon Princes, yeah, it's going to be hard for... They're going to have to get the right engagements on the Dark Elf side to really take out the Dragon, because definitely none of the infantry is going to be a threat to the cavalry or the Star Dragon, as the Dragon Princes on one side are already taking a big chunk out of the Bleak Swords. Reaper Bolt Thrower is almost down as well from the firepower, but the Goon Squad of the Dark Elves is coming for, looks like Alariel, as they are diving in to attack, but the Gold One Knights, I think, overextending a little bit. Trying to chase after Alariel. Yeah, but now the Dark Elves turn their force towards the Dragon Princes, as a Faw's Protection is going down on them, giving them some nice armor and melee defense. But we do have a nice rear charge coming in from the Cold One Knights that will probably break these Dragon Princes, but a good breath attack coming down as well, taking a ton of damage off of Morathi. Just... yeah, she went down to below half health from just one shot, and the shot from Morathi then misses the Star Dragon. So now the cavalry forces, the Dark Elves, kind of coming into the Lothran Sea Guard, but they have broken the Dragon Princess there. But a Tempest coming down, trying to snare in Morathi, but Morathi does quickly dive into the Lothran Sea Guard, so she does avoid that damage from that. But now these two Masters are a bit out of position. I think the Star Dragon is going to pretty much just munch on them. I don't think that they want to be engaging the Star Dragon solo. Yeah, now Morathi is completely shattered. Just the firepower from that breath attack of the Star Dragon just took it down so far. And I mean, Alariel on her bird isn't really a slouch when it comes to melee combat, but these Witch Elves are going to be able to rampage Alariel herself, and she is completely surrounded by Witch Elves, by the Knight, all of the cavalry forces, so she doesn't want to be in there for too long if she can help it, and with her rampage, she isn't going to be able to get any heals, and so the Masters are getting on top, so the Dark Elves might be able to bring down Alariel right here, with that rampage in a very bad situation, as the Balance of Power is now back in, or it's balancing back and forth between High Elves and Dark Elves. But yeah, one of the Masters, though, is able to rout, and Alariel might be able to get out with enough, so she will be able to come back, get some nice heals, as she is almost out of that blob. But the Star Dragon now himself is getting rampaged, surrounded again by all of the cav forces. So this is going to be a little interesting to see how this is going to, because yeah, the Dark Elves now are pulling ahead quite a bit in balance of power. Those Witch Elves really just getting those rampages putting the High Elves in those bad positions. So yeah, that Master is actually going to be able to chase off Alariel, and that Star Dragon is no longer rampaging, but if he stays along for too much longer, those Witch Elves will get that second proc of the rampage, and there it goes. So now the Star Dragon is rampage for the second time, and this might just be curtains for the High Elf army, because yeah, Alariel is routed off the field, and yeah, I don't think the Star Dragon is going to be able to get out of this current position. And yeah, army losses getting very close to proccing for the High Elves. And this looks like it is going to be game as the army breaks. So yeah, that really broke down to just one engagement where Alariel got caught out, and then the Witch Elves were able to rampage her. And I think had Prussian Prince decided to hold off on the Star Dragon, it would have sucked, but it pretty much sacrificed Alariel at that point. She was in a bad spot. They had just gotten Morathi off the field, and with Alariel going down as well, yes, you lose a lot of healing potential, but by going in with the Star Dragon and Dragon Princes, they were able to just be constantly rampaged until they were dead. Because the Witch Elves got both of their rampages off, and that took them down very, very fast. So for the next map, what shall we go with today? Where is it? Let's have him pay the troll toll for this next map. Alright, Seven, sorry, it's just taking a second to think about what his next picks are going to be. I'm going to see which route he decides to go. Anything but coast. Well, we'll see how that... See if we can get a non-undead... Oh, but Evenstar is going to go Norska, banning High Elves and Lizardmen. So, yeah, he banned high elves, though Prussian Prince couldn't pick high elves anyways. So yeah, Prussian Prince is reminding him of that. Yeah, Lizardmen. I mean, Norska does have tools to deal with the Lizardmen, though I think yeah, Lizardmen have. And I'd say Lizardmen have an advantage in that particular matchup. Maybe it's not as great, but I mean they're just able to deal with a lot of kind of the like berserkers and anything like that. They can deal with a lot of those before they get close enough. But I mean, yeah, Norska into high elves, even though Prussian Prince can't take them, I think that can go really kind of either way as well. I mean, I like playing it as Norska. I've kind of refined that maybe a little bit better. So Evan Star is going to ban greenskins on top, which I think that's a good ban as well against Norska. I mean, Norska does have tools, but I think just the volume of like troops that the greenskins can bring, it just makes it hard for Norska to really push through, especially if they try and do a frontal engagement. But Prussian Prince looks like he's going to be going Bretonia against Norska. So yeah, he does pick Bretonia. And yeah, I have, in the last two tournaments I've played in, I've played this exact matchup as Norska. One was against Randonix and the other was against Ronin. I believe you will remember that one. But yeah, I think it's a pretty good matchup. It really depends on getting the engagements that you need. Try not to be too spread out as Norska, but yeah, pretty much don't chase the rabbit. Yeah, I played it much better against Ronin than I did against you, Random. I learned a bit. It was very similar builds I brought both times, but changed up a few things, and I think yeah, I played it a little tighter, and I think that worked a lot more to my advantage. I guess I'm not really familiar enough with Bretonia to really say what would be good that they can bring against Norska. I think I saw the Fae in both cases, and I think Gotrek as well. Who I think yeah, Gotrek is a good pick here. Just very hard to deal with, though. I mean, he is very good anti-large, though a mammoth does very well against infantry characters. So kind of a trade-off on both sides there. But just waiting on Evan Star, and his Prussian Prince is ready to go. Well, on my little cheat sheet that I have, Norska at least was favored for this matchup against Bretonia, but I think with that recent change with how poison is applied, uh, it's better for Bretonia. It, but yeah, before it was I think it was Norskin favored, but a good Bretonian player. I think a lot of people just aren't prepared for how a good Bretonian player plays it. So yeah, it can definitely be a toss up on how things go, but we'll see what Evan Star is about to bring. Yeah, lots of Fimir, lots of mammoths. I mean, that's pretty much how you deal with Bretonia here. Alright, so it looks like Evan Star is now also ready. And we'll get this next battle underway. Yeah, if Bretonia can isolate the components of the Norscan army, and while I'm at it, update this. But yeah, if Bretonian can update the, or isolate, but it looks like they've gone fairly wide. So let's just take a look at Norska first. So we have a couple of just Marauder Horsemen. We have a couple units of Norscan Warhounds. We have a Skinwolf Werekin. So yeah, it looks like he did not bring his armor, so just pretty much the base kit. We have Marauders down the line. We have a couple Fimir Warriors with great weapons. We have a Fimir Balefiend of Fire with Fireball, Cascading Fire Cloak, and Burning Head. And then we also have Wulfric the Wanderer, of course, on his Mammoth. And we have the Brutes of the Hound. So let's see. I saw working on the other side. Did he bring two? No, of course not. Yeah, he can only bring the, just the one Werekin, so he just moved it over here. And yeah, Wulfric is bringing, of course, Seafang, 100 champions. So if we take a look at what Bretonia has brought for us today, we have King Lewin up in the sky. So he's got his beloved son of Bretonia, Foe Seeker, Stand Your Ground, and of course Sword of Crone. We have for the Cav forces some questing knights, as well as a lineup of, looks like 3 Knights of the Realm. We just have the Peasant Mob up in the front. We have Men-at-Arms in the middle, and then we have, Pox Arrows, or as a regular unit, and then probably Pox Arrows on the far flight side as well. So 2 Pox Arrows and a Damsel of Life to give some nice healing to all of the cavalry forces. So yeah, we'll see how this one goes. I generally see pretty heavy Fimir Warriors and Mammoth are fairly common picks for Norskins. Sometimes you even see 3 great weapon variants of the Fimir Warriors or the Miststalker. All very good units against Bretonian Cav. And so yeah, we'll see how it is. But yeah, King Lewin might be a good answer to Wulfric in this case. Sword of Crone and all those good buffs that he is getting might be just enough to win that engagement. We shall see. Yeah, Patty Wampus, thank you for joining the stream today. So yeah, these guys should be underway fairly soon. So it looks like Russian Prince is ready. Just the Norscan army is kind of just making some minor tweaks. But we will. All right, so it looks like Emissary is also ready. All right. And we are underway as the Norskins take at least the initial initiative and advance as the Bretonians start to swing a little bit more towards their right flank, as we do have some fairly high value targets are there, but we do have the Bretonian Cav forces, which are kind of dropping back a bit from the Marauder Horsemen. And if we look at their speed, we have 75 speed for them and a good 90 speed on the Marauder Horsemen. So the Marauder Horsemen will be able, as long as they don't make any mistakes, will be able to stay away from the Knights of the Realm. So they're kind of pulling back, allowing the Pox Arrows to be able to do their work. Yeah, now we have some shots raining into the front line as the Marauders charge into the Peasants, and Wulfric is quickly following suit. But the Peasant Mobs are kind of backing off a little bit, trying to allowing as many shots to rain in as they can, though the Fimir Warriors have landed against the Men-at-Arms on this far flank, as now we have some Warhounds trying to get into the back line of the Bretonian forces. Looks like they are starting to get through here, as they are now running through. We have a Burning Head actually coming through, able to dodge that for the most part, just taking a little bit of damage. as it might clip through a few units of these men-at-arms, as well as actually it goes through the Brutes of the Hound as well. That must have been an overcast burning head there, able to get quite a bit. And so King Lewin does have, looks like, his Sword of Corone down, giving a nice debuff to the surrounding troops. Looks like they were able to rout one of the Fimir warriors, which is a very good trade-off for them. If they are able to at least try and get some chase off on it, it'd be good to keep them off the field, as the cav forces have broken through for Bretonnia, so now they're able to kind of get around behind. But we do have the goon squad of Wulfric and the Werkin to worry about from Norska. The King Lewin is now kind of circling around, seeing if he is going to decide to land or not. Yeah, take a look at the other flank. So actually the Knights of the Realm have broken on the right flank of Bretonnia to the Fimir and the Brutes of the Hound. So the back line is getting a little dangerous, as now there is nothing to really protect these archers from these Norse Warhounds. So it looks like Norska is getting into the cookie jar fairly well. I mean, Bretonnia has been able to at least push off some of the units, did okay on this far left flank, but that right flank is pretty much completely dissolved. And now King Lewin is probably going to have to commit to a fight soon, as he does land in, trying to get this Fimir Battlefiend off the field, it looks like. But right now, yeah, Wulfric, there's a Sea Fang coming in somewhere. I heard. So it did come through. I mean, it clipped some units, though. I mean, that probably didn't get really through the brunt of the forces of Bretonnia. But yeah, the Damsel of Life's taking a bit of damage, as the Fimir Battlefiend is now in hot pursuit, as well as these Norscan Warhounds and Wulfric as well. But that kind of leaves the Werkin at least a little isolated, so King Lewin, have a bit of a freeze here. Looks like it kind of stuttered for a second. And, looks like we had a full crash. Well, that is unfortunate. So yeah, we'll just have to get that back up. Yeah, pretty much I think everyone just crashed there. So that is unfortunate, but we'll get right back into this. All right, so we are back. I mean, I'd say that was a little Norscan favored at the end there, but it was still very, very close. So I think we're probably just going to have both armies just redo the match with the same builds. Yeah, I was saying balance. Yeah, it was fairly even there. I mean, of course, you had pretty much all the major threats on both sides were pretty much at full health. So, yeah, we'll just have them redo that. All right, so, oops. All right, we have both contestants back in, so we'll just have them replay with same builds. Call it a draw. So, Evanstar is set. Any impression is going to be set as well. I had a few messages saying... Let's see what he was saying. So yeah, I can't actually see his builds, I don't think. So, unless... Oh, actually I can. Sorry. Oh, I guess, oops. I mean, it doesn't matter. Both people have the same builds. So yeah, it was 3 Knights of Realm, 2 Pox Arrows, lineup of mobs, men-at-arms, Damsel of Life. I mean, yeah, that looks like it's the same thing. So now how do I hide that? Well, hopefully that hides after the next one. Otherwise, I have to get that screen blocker back up. All right. All right, back at it again. So yeah, you know what the builds are, though it does look like it didn't save my settings. All right, there we go. Nice, clean, and hide that as well. There we go, back to the way it was. Suppose I should have looked at both sides, but yeah, it looks exactly the same. Alright, yeah, we'll see if they kind of go with the same deployment or try and mix things up a bit. Alright. That looks like Prussian Prince is set. I think Evanstar should be pretty much set as well. Yeah, it looks pretty similar deployments to the last game. I think just the only difference with Evanstar is he just pretty much switched what side his Bruce of the Hounds was on. Otherwise, yeah, it's looks pretty much the same as last time. So hopefully they should be both ready in a second. So Evanstar says he's also set, and I hear the starting bell sound. And as soon as we wait on the other contestant, we will be off to the races once again, as the armies once again approach one another. Alright, so yeah, pretty much another frontal charge by Norska. Wolfric taking the lead, going right through those peasants. They probably won't even be able to scratch him, as the peasant mob on this far flank is being crumped pretty hard. Though we do have the Knights of the Realm weren't quite close enough to get a nice counter charge, though they might be able to get a charge off onto the Marauders through them. But yeah, the Norskins are pretty much overloading the Bretonnian left flank, as they have their Fimir warriors and their Roots of the Hound, as well as even Wolfric is kind of pushing hard into that flank. But yeah, the peasants are pretty much breaking across the board, as Bretonnian is backing up a little bit. I do hear a Sea Fang coming in down, so that kind of cuts through. That really didn't do a whole lot there. Those kind of spells are kind of best cast to go directly down, but we do have a Burning Head. Though it looks like Bretonnia is going to be able to dodge that with pretty much out a single scratch. I mean, the Burning Head also looks like it curved a little bit, so it probably wouldn't have even hit that second unit anyways, as that goes off into nothing. But we do have our Lord King Lewin down here, engaged with the Fimir and kind of the Marauder Horsemen. I do have Hunter Champions going down on the Damsel of Life. She did drop a Earthblood down, but she looks like she's going to be able to get out without a problem for her. And we do have King Lewin has his Sword of Garone as well. We have some units coming back. There's some peasant mobs on the far flank. But yeah, this flank is getting very much overloaded by Norska, as Bretonnia has thrown all of its cav into the fight as well. They are able to break a few units of the mobility for Norska, but not really doing as much damage into the kind of the high threat units, which is, of course, the Fimir and Wolfric himself. Though King Lewin is sensing a bit of an advantage here, as he does drop onto the Fimir Balefine of Fire, who is very isolated from the rest of the unit, as he drops Foe Seeker, trying to get some damage in, but that Fimir Balefine is able to path through some of their units pretty well. An Awakening of the Woods going down, going right in the middle of the Norscan forces. Another Burning Head as well, cutting through. But again, it's going right through the Cav forces, so they're not going to be taking really as much damage as they would maybe running through the Peasant Bowmen. So, yeah, we can look out. King Lewin is retreating, but he did break one of the horsemen. But yeah, the Firecaster, the Fimir Balefine, was pretty much able to get out unscathed, as Norska is once again breaking through their flank that they have decided to overload. So it is looking to play out fairly similar to how last game went. That was a bit better. Sea Fang there, going through 2 units of the peasant mob. Again, they're very low infantry. They probably would have been breaking pretty soon anyways. I think going down the line of the Peasant Bowmen would have probably been a better shot for them. As now that Damsel of Life is in a bad spot, as Wolfric is right on top of her. King Lewin is coming back, looking to drop down as a charge from the Questing Knights comes in, getting a decent surround off, I suppose, on the Norscan forces, as Wolfric is dropping down to close to half health. Although Hunter of Champions is down on King Lewin, though Wolfric isn't really taking advantage of that, and he was continued to attack the Knights. And another Burning Head, that time going right through those Peasant Bowmen, a much better cast, routing them off the field. So that was a very good cast on that end. Though it looks like Bretonnia has been able to mop up much of their right flank. They have quite a bit of reserve troops. If they are able to kind of come in and assist, that could be a big turning point for them. But it does look like I don't see the Caster of Life anymore, and quite a few of the units of the Bretonnian Cav have taken quite a bit of damage. King Lewin getting back up into the air will be good to kind of keep him away from it. There is the Damsel of Life right there, able to heal herself back up, and another Awakening of the Wood going down in the middle of these Marauders, doing some good damage. But they are going to try and get out of that little blob there, as the reinforcements of Bretonnia now kind of get back into the fray, as the Norskins are pretty much all centralized in this one location. I don't really see a whole lot of other units on the peripheries, just a few Marauders over there, and it looks like a routing unit there. So nothing really important on the outside flanks for Norska. So what you see is what you get for Norska. So we'll see. It does look like Norska is edging ever so much more in the balance of power. I think, yeah, the only thing really left I mean, you have King Lewin, who could probably deal with Wulfric on his Mammoth, but you also have two Fimir warriors with great weapons here, who are at 12 and 7 models, so a decent amount there, and you still have a full health Skinwolf Werekin, and that's just going to be a bit too much, I think, for King Lewin, and 100 champions going down as well, so his speed is getting reduced. So if he's able to get stuck on the ground, though, it does look like he is able to stay ahead of the Norscan forces and get back up into the air. As now Norsca turns its attention to the Damsel of Life. And now we have some poison shots coming in. I think those poison arrows would have been very helpful a little earlier in that blob where the cavalry forces of Bretonnia was still around. Though King Lewin kind of dropping in, getting some charge in as he can. He looks like he is getting surrounded fairly quickly by what's left of Norsca. So he does need to pull out here. He's going to have to continue trying to do that cycle charging, picking off whatever units he can. Even killing off just a single model of Fimir warriors per charge is going to be the way to go. Though it looks like most of the infantry of Bretonnia is starting to waver as the balance power goes a little bit more into Norscan's favor. Because, yeah, at this point, I just, don't think there's a way for Bretonnia to really come back. The only thing satisfying their engaging rule is the firing of these peasant bowmen, and as long as, if Norsca just pretty much charges those bowmen, that's going to be it for Bretonnia, though they do have a few units coming back. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be enough to deal with what's left. So the Lower Life was pretty much brought to heal up the Cav, but at this point the Cav is long gone, so there's really nothing that they really have. That Lower Life isn't really as useful as it was, because of course King Lewin has his own regen. But yeah, there was 5 cavalry units here earlier on, and here is the final engagement. As we have the Bretonnians are routing, and it's just pretty much King Lewin left. And down goes King Lewin, and down with the chance for Bretonnia. And Norsca will take it, and Evanstar will win this series 2-0, and will be advancing to the finals to take on Random Nicks. So Random Nicks, I know it's getting a little late for you, so we will get this going as quickly as we can. So, yeah, Random Nicks, there is a spot open as soon as you are able to join. Oh, where did Evanstar go? He is still in the finals. We need him. Oh, yeah. All right, yeah. Peace out, Rubber Duck of War. We'll catch you on the next one. Happy to have you stick around for as long as you did. So, yeah, we'll try and get them both back in here. I know... Where did they go? right. Well, hopefully Evanstar has made it back in. And we will update the bracket as well. All right. I still do not see him. Where did he go? Oh, what did I have to eat today? Pretty much, I think pretty much the same time as you asked me the last time. That they had, yeah, just cereal and a sandwich for lunch. So it should be getting dinner after today. Not really sure what I'm going to be doing. Wait, did Evanstar actually go to sleep now, or? Yeah, I'll send another invite to him. Says he's still online, God. Oh, hopefully he's still sticking around. Otherwise, you might have to... Let's see. Did he go offline? Well, that is unfortunate. Well, I mean, we still have to try and track him down. I'm not sure where he went. Said he was still online, but... He says he's still in the game. We'll see. Yeah, we'll give him a few minutes. Otherwise, yeah, I might just hop in myself if he doesn't show up. There he is. All right. All right, so yeah, let's get the map set. Let's see, what did we do for the first few maps? Let's do Eschen. All right, so yeah, random will have the first picks here. This is going to be best of 5. So the show has only just begun. Yeah, definitely going to have to be, it's going to be an announcement we're going to send out before the next one on making sure everyone is holding to a good schedule, and then and also to remind people if they do notice some people that are lagging behind a bit, to let me and the future admins know, just so we can monitor the kind of subsequent matches that they have, make sure things are going to be going smoothly, and then yeah, we'll probably maybe can even introduce a timer coming up even in this best of 5, we can add a kind of a pick systems. And I'll have to make that more clear. I'm not sure if I added that to the tournament description, but we'll have more hard set time limits on like 15 minutes to join up, and then it's like 6 minutes for army builds at the most, and just kind of make sure things go kind of well for the next one. Yeah, for the tournament rules, I mean, most of my rules are pretty much a copy and paste from either Suns or Turton's tournaments. So yeah, I'll just have to take a quicker look at that, see what I have listed there and what I don't, and make sure that for the next qualifier everything is clearly listed out, and we will hold everyone to it. So yeah, Random Next is going with the coast spanning Dawian Empire. So we'll see what Evanstar goes with for his build. It does open up High Elves, though I'm not really sure if that's going to be his route. There's a few other options that you can go with, but we'll see. So yeah, we can even, as soon as Evanstar picks his build, we will actually start a timer right here, and we'll we'll just monitor it for the first one, and if it gets close to that 6-minute mark, we'll send a little reminder. And yeah. All right, so Evanstar is going to be going Dark Elves. That is a very interesting choice. So we are going to start the timer, though, just kind of get a gauge on how long these are taking. But yeah, Dark Elves generally struggle fairly heavily against the coast, especially against a good coast player. I mean, there are some builds where if coast goes a particular direction, they can do very well against it. But overall, it's just, yeah, coast has a lot of answers to pretty much anything that the Dark Elves can field. Yeah, Ice Power has his builds. It depends on which one he goes with, though, because I know, like, against Anticity, he brought, like, the 4 Bolt Throwers and the Dark Shards, and he really likes bringing the Supreme Sorceress of Fire. I think that's probably one that you'll see in pretty much all of his builds is that one, or at least having just the Sorceress of Fire. But, it depends, though, on what Coast brings, too, because it can go very poorly for Dark Elves if he doesn't go the right way. Yeah, shades definitely do help because you can't see them until it's pretty much too late. Because you can't, with Dark Shards, you can just whittle them down as they approach. For shades, they have the stock, so you can't see them until they're already in range themselves. So you're really not getting all that damage off onto them. So you're going to be forced to go for their other infantry forces. So it looks like they are both set. And we are underway. So that was only a couple minutes for army builds. We'll keep monitoring that one. Yeah, Lux, if you were referring to my match against Ice Power for the King of the Hill, that was a little ways ago, wasn't it? Or was that was that Friday? Might have been. It's been a long weekend. Yeah, that was a good case of Dark Elves really just beating, Coast just beating Dark Elves really, really badly because Dark Elves didn't bring the answers that they needed. Though let's take a look at what Randonix has brought in, so he has brought in 3 Morgul's. I really do like the Morgul's here. They do really well against Dark Elf Cav. So you have the deck droppers, which again I really like to see. I think these are just the regular variants. We also have a couple just semi-powered gunnery mobs, 2 bombers, and 2 handguns. We have a lineup of 3 mortars. We have Count Noctilus on his Necrofex, and just actually very light on the front line with only 3 deckhand mobs. So he's kind of hoping to blast them away before they can get too close. And as for the Dark Elf build, we do have 3 Reaper bolt throwers, which will do very well against the mortars, though with having 3 on 3, I don't know if the bolt throwers will be able to take them out quickly enough before they can get some good value off. But for the rest of the troops, we have Bleak Swords in the front, as well as a mix of Dread Spears as well. Backline, we do have Dark Shards, so this might be taking a playbook straight out of Ice Powers builds. But yeah, for Dark Shards, we have a Master up in the air, as well as a Supreme Sorceress of Fire, and 2 Harpies as well. So again, that elevated position with the Supreme Sorceress will be good again, sniping out more of the mortar units. Though, I mean, generally though, that's kind of a risk to bring, especially when you often will see Harkon in this matchup. But with Noctilus, it might not be too bad. So we also have a unit of Dark Riders on that flank and the far flank as well. So that will pretty much sum up the 2 builds here. We'll take a quick look at what the spells we brought. So yeah, Burning Head, Flaming Swords, and Fireball. So that would be very... That is generally good against undead in general. Can't go wrong with Lore of Fire. And of course for Count Noctilus, yeah, I just have Raised Dead and Invocation with Captain Roth's Moondial and Wraithstorm. Looks like both are ready, and they should be getting underway any second, and we are off. I mean, if they are going to nerf the Coast, I think Harkon is a very good candidate to get nerfed. He's pretty much a world beater where he can just take out anything he wants. And if you, play at least semi-cautiously with him, he's just going to pretty much wreck and just be able to continue firing all game long. But yeah, I think the biggest, point that a lot of people make is his leadership is too high, so it essentially makes him unbreakable. Even with army losses, you really need to push him to get that final disintegration. Yeah, we do have shots raining in, and they are targeting the mortars. We still have all of our units there. Yeah, the bombers used to be pretty poor, but they have gotten a nice improvement. So we do have a couple units of the mortars have been dropping. So we've lost, actually, so that Fireball did not actually drop one on that unit, but we do have the bolt throwers taking out one of the artillery pieces on this unit here. The other one is still free to fire. As Count Noctilus comes in, dropping a gunnery mob behind the Bleak Swords, so they can get some free shots in. So really just trying to muck up as much as they can. As we just see, we have the deck droppers just plucking away. But the Dark Shards are firing in, so they'll be doing good damage against them. Looks like this unit is completely out, and we'll take a look here. So they still have their 3, despite having 2 shots come in, but that Master is coming in. He's getting a little ahead of himself. There's a lot of gunpowder close by. We have the 2 handguns units. It looks like they are getting probably a little bit of friendly fire into Noctilus. But, taking a bit of damage both sides, so Noctilus will easily be able to heal up the damage that he took, and even the Master taking a few more shots. So yeah, those summons were actually able to muck up these bolt throwers for a bit, allow the Noctilus and the mortars to continue firing as another fireball comes in. Let's see if that does any better damage. So it actually aimed for the mortar that had just dropped, so it still has its 2 units. That fireball itself has not taken out a model yet, though another one has dropped, so it's just down to 1 mortar there, and this one still has all 3. But yeah, the vampire counts are advancing, noticing that their artillery is going to be dropping fairly soon, so they do need to get in range, get those bombers firing, and get the Morngulls going as well. So I think, yeah, the Dark Shards definitely, I think they either need to be going after the bombers or the Morngulls here. The Morngulls are going to be a big threat to the Dark Elf infantry. There isn't any like Witch Elves to rampage them to keep them in combat. We have plenty of heals from Noctilus and plenty of summons too. So things are going to be able to get fairly dangerous for their infantry. Then we do have Murderous Prowess going down. Not a whole lot was actually engaged in melee, but we do have a kind of a gooning attempt coming in from the Dark Elves as the Master and the Supreme Sorceress both come down onto Noctilus as the Bolt Throwers are firing in. But the Morngulls have come to their rescue, as also we have Captain's Wrath Moondial going down. And yeah, the Lords of the Dark Elves really aren't a good melee combatant. I mean, you have the Master, but he's pretty low on health already, so if he gets some focus fire, that will not be very good for him. It looks like we have some handguns firing into the rear as the Harpies have gotten onto the last mortar, as the Dark Riders have also shut down the other unit. So it looks like Evanstar is doing fairly well against the coast here, able to shut down their units. And Noctilus is getting very low as another gooning attempt. This time there isn't really anything close enough to save him, as he's continuing to take shots from the Bolt Throwers. So I don't think Noctilus is actually going to survive this. He is going to be going down. So if we take a look at what else that the Vampire Coast has, it does look like the Harpies were able to get off of the mortars. So those mortars are still firing, but Coast does withdraw, and Random Nix will concede that first match. Alright, so Evanstar is taking the next. So he is now up 1-0. And we will set the next map. Let's go with, oh, where is that one? Red Eye Mountain. So we'll go with that, and then it should be Evanstar is up for his picks. Yeah, even with the Fireball cast, where the Fireball has pretty much missed every single shot. And yeah, the Reaper Bolt Throwers was which did the killing on the mortars. They were able to take out 2 of them, and the Harpies were able to at least momentarily shut down the other one. Though once the 2 mortars are down, those Reaper Bolt Throwers actually targeted Noctilus pretty heavily. And even though, yeah, the Supreme Sorceress isn't really a combatant lord, the Master was able to get in and kind of just deal that finishing blow. So, yeah, I think it went fairly well. I'm not really sure about the pick with Noctilus. I mean, I guess against that particular Dark Elf build, he didn't have a whole lot of very good targets to shoot at. I mean, pretty much going after the cavalry, I think, is really what would have been best for the Necrofex in that case. But there wasn't really that many high-value cavalry forces to be seen from the Dark Elf. So Alright, so hopefully get Evanstar's picks here pretty quick. So now we have Evanstar going coast, manning Dwarves and Empire. So we might be seeing Random Nix's High Elf build here. So again, we're going to see back-to-back coast matches with random nicks. So yeah, I think random mix will probably end up going high elves again. But hey, on the bright side, we have just seen coast in the first 2 matches, so we won't be seeing them again for the rest of the finals. Yeah, both of Random X's sets have had back-to-back coast matches. So actually, Random X is going to be going Tomb Kings. You're taking a page out of Shetland's book. No, we're not going to be seeing a Coast Spear match here. And yet, no Phoenix yet, J Phoenix. So yeah, from what I've seen, I mean, Tomb Kings, like, I initially had thought that, I mean, Tomb Kings had a very tough time against Coast, but I've seen a couple replays that have really kind of shown some nice units that are really good. You know, see if there's any similarities with Random Nix's build from what I've been seeing as of late. Now, Skaven are still very competitive. I guess it really kind of depends on the matchup, but they have a lot of tools to deal with a lot of different factions. And if they're going to be getting this next DLC, they'll have even more of those tools to use. Yeah, I mean, yeah, with the Skaven, I mean, I don't play them. I mean, I think I only played them maybe a few times total. Yeah, I think, yeah, one of their probably big issues is, yeah, their lords will often get sniped out fairly easily. It depends on, I guess, the faction they're going up against. And then, I mean, just general low leadership across the board. I do have a few good, nice anchor units, but they do have a very good ranged arsenal, though, against a lot of different types of infantry. And some fairly good monsters as well, with the Hell Pits and the Rat Ogres. Alright, so it looks like Random Nix is ready. We'll see if Evan Star is as well. So he is ready as well, so we'll be getting into this next match. Alright, so let's see what the armies are today. So it looks like I do see Harkon up in the sky on the other side, but we'll take a look at the Tomb King army first. It looks like we do have Cetra. I'm guessing it is Cetra. Yes, we have Cetra on his Cambrian War Sphinx. We have a lineup of Skeleton Warriors, some Tomb Guard mixed in. We have a lineup of archers as well, one of them being the Arwar Blessed Legions of however you pronounce that, Makath or something along those lines. You have, and then 4 skeleton horsemen, as well as a couple of units of chariots. So, I mean, a little different from what I've seen. But if we take a look at the forces of the Vampire Coast, we have a lot of bats in the air today. So we have 2 bomber units, as well as a couple just regular fellbats. We have some Sirens, which are actually very good units against Tomb Kings. They don't really have a whole lot of magic damage, and as well as the Shade Wraith Gunners. And then we have 2 Carronades, and so then a lineup of 5 Deckhand Mobs with the Vampire Fleet Captain anchoring that middle formation. And of course we have Luther Harkon up in the sky. So yeah, we'll see how the Tomb Kings are able to handle this. I think a lot of the times we have the Carrion are actually a pretty good matchup here. I mean, they're able to shut down deck droppers, really get on top of their units. But yeah, pretty much the way to go, you have to pretty much avoid having a lot of those big constructs. So that's why it makes Luther Harkon actually fairly difficult to deal with, especially if Tomb Kings are able to, or not, if the Coaster is able to eliminate the threats that present themselves to Luther. Because once those threats are dealt with, he is very hard to drag down in an infantry fight, especially with the infantry that the Tomb Kings generally will bring. Yeah, I mean, we have quite a wide range on the Tomb King side, having nearly 1,500 troops. But yeah, we'll see how that able to work out. I mean, if they once they're able to close that distance, they should be able to overwhelm what the Vampire Coast has. I mean, the bombers though will do very well, but they don't have that much ammo. Because they have 7 ammo, so they'll probably get used up fairly quickly, but they'll do a lot of damage, especially if they're able to hold off until more of the late game. Once the infantry does finally collapse onto the Vampire Coast formation. Not really sure how well these Scurvy Dogs will do, though. If they're able to be used in conjunction with the Fellbats, it might be helpful. But I think, yeah, the mobility that the Tomb Kings have is going to be a lot better. And let's see if we have... So Evan Star says he is set. And it looks like they are underway. I'll take also a quick look at what we have for spells. So yeah, Nero's Incantation of Protection, Incantation of Desecration, and the Blessed Blade of Patra. So, and yeah, of course we have the Restless Dead and Undying Will. So nice buffs to have. If you're able to constantly cast off Nero's Incantation, get some nice regen to your units. So right now, yeah, the Air Force, I guess, of the Vampire Coast is kind of putting a little bit of pressure forwards on at least the some of the mobility. As long as they're just able to kind of stay away, if they're able to pull them into the range of the archers, those Felbats are going to go down fairly quickly. That's why I usually think I think Carrion, though, are a very, very good pick for the Tomb Kings to have. We'll just have to see how well they're able to handle it this time. As yeah, the Tomb Kings look like they're just kind of swinging around, and they should be. I mean, they have to advance. Yeah, the coast has the overwhelming range firepower. It just depends on how they're going to want to do it. They really do need to avoid getting too blobbed up, because I mean, if they can get punished fairly heavily if they do by these bombers. But again, I think the bombers, they should wait until later when they can just once the infantry is engaged, they'll have a lot better targets to shoot at, as long as they're able to stay protected until then, which they shouldn't have a problem with doing. So both armies are squared off, and now Random Nix is advancing his troops. So they still actually have well, they're just about to be getting into range of the cannons. So they'll be taking quite a bit of fire all the way up until they approach. But pretty much as long as they're able to keep these skeleton horsemen away from the main targets, they should be doing all right. And now having the Felbats kind of put a little bit of pressure on them kind of forces Random Nix here to at least kind of respond, and can't just trying to avoid just blindly advancing in. Though the skeleton archers, the deck droppers with bombers are probably what they want to be shooting at the most. So as long as Random Nix is able to screen these out as best he can and keep those skeleton archers alive, because we don't really see, there's no mortars, anything that can do a lot of damage to a bunch of infantry units. The carronades, I mean, imagine they're probably going to be either going for the chariots or the Nakaran horsemen. And of course the Shade Wraith gunners, though, will probably be doing very well against Cetra if they're able to open up for a prolonged period of time on him. Looks like the bombers are kind of swooping in here to try and get a bit of shots in. We'll see how well that damage is. It looks like all the shots are connecting fairly well, but some shots have been fired in return from the archers. As now Harkonnen is actually getting a little close as he's firing some shots into the back of Cetra. Just having the skeleton horseman kind of go underneath to make sure that if Harkonnen does drop down, and there will be plenty of reinforcements close by. And yeah, the skeleton chariots are taking a bit of damage from the fire. This unit has already lost 2 units. So the carronades doing fairly good on that side. The skeleton warriors are now getting opened up from the Shade Wraith gunners. No, I think, yeah, the Shade Wraith gunners, I think there's better targets for them to be shooting at right now. I think they're just shooting at skeleton warriors. I mean, there's Tomb Guard on the field right now. Those are going to be the target to be shooting at, and they are just getting in range. So we'll see if Avenstar is going to switch his targeting onto those. Some bomber fire landing into the Blessed Legion, but some good return fire into the deck droppers as well. Some more shots raining in onto the chariots, and they are down to 4 units now out of their 9, and this down is down 2 as well. So those chariots, I don't know if they're going to be able to make it in to the coast formation without a whole lot of damage taken in return. And now the Shade Wraiths are opening right up into Cetra. Shots landing home, as now the archers are able to fire in as well, getting some softening up shots into the deckhand mobs. So with the formation that Avenstar has actually presented, these zombies are presenting less of a front, I guess. It presents them to be more surrounded, but if they get just a frontal engagement, they're going to be able to last fairly long. And yeah, these deck droppers with bombers are really doing very good work against these skeleton warriors. And now that everything's kind of getting engaged, they should have some fairly good targets. A summon's coming down, of just the regular summon, though Cetra has taken quite a bit of damage, and of course Luther has just been firing into his back all the time, and he might be looking to do a nice little attack here, and he is. So he is dropping down. The Blessed Blade of Petra is down as well. But he is going to be able to escape, at least for now, from Luther. As we are kind of collapsing a bit on the rest of the formation. The Scurvy Dogs are taking quite a bit of damage, and now the Carronades are being collapsed upon by the Horsemen, as the Chariots are also able to, should be able to shut down at least these Carronades for a brief time, but they probably won't be able to last too long. Archers firing into the Fellbats, as the Fellbats are now able to get onto them. The deck droppers with bombers also being able to get down. They're probably just going to go into melee up there so they can keep those targets from firing. And now the Scurvy Dogs are also just very free to move in the back. It's pretty much all the infantry is blobbed up. There's nothing supporting those archers in the back. And Luther is just able to, is still at full health and without, I mean, Cetra is doing fairly well. He's still at half health. But, I mean, Luther is, there's less and less things that are going to be able to take him out. Looks like the Blessed Legion was able to at least repel some of the units, and the Tomb Kings have able to get some of their cavalry forces to support these Scurvy Dogs. So yeah, these Skeleton Archers aren't going to be taking a whole lot of damage, and those Scurvy Dogs will be not long for this world. Yeah, the Shade Wraith Gunners have been collapsed upon fairly well by the other Neck-Iron Horseman unit, and Luther is trying to take out these Skeleton Chariots. And now we have Cetra getting a Summons of Ushabti in behind, so this is where they're going to try and do as much damage to Luther as possible. So we have Ushabti on one side and Cetra on the other. So that's a lot of mass pinning in Luther. And we also have the Invitation of Desiccation, so getting a nice debuff of melee attack and melee defense. But it doesn't look like Luther's really taking a whole lot of damage here. Nothing... Yeah, there's not a whole lot of stopping power that is at least actively engaged with him. I mean, there's no other undead units right here, except for the Shade Wraith Gunners. But yeah, Luther just, yeah, he's just tanking this damage very, very well. Yeah, bombers. This unit has fairly good ammo, but this one's used up pretty much everything that it's got. Archers are now free to fire. We are getting the Sirens into the back. But I think it's probably best to just ignore them if they decide to go for those archers, unless you're able to get a nice round off. And again, yeah, Luther is just tanking this damage very, very well. That Ushabti summon, while it did hold them in place, they just weren't able to capitalize as much as they probably wanted to. But Cetra has actually found a good target as well. That kind of target, if you can get the Vampire Fleet Captain off, that will eliminate the summons. Though a nice breath attack coming in from above, right onto the back of Cetra. Luther, he does have enough support, so yeah, dropping in now is probably a good idea. He has plenty of ammo, though he could also just kind of sit up in the sky and continue firing. Archers are firing into the Sirens. With the Sirens, they are not going to really taking that much damage. I think the Archers should just turn and kind of help this frontal engagement. But it looks like the Vampire Coast is going to be seeing all of their infantry depleted well before the Tomb Kings are. So at some point, Luther is going to have to be stuck in sustained combat. Though for now, they still have enough surrounding them. I mean, these Sirens are going to be dropping pretty quickly. We have those Sirens are low leadership, so they'll be crumbling probably fairly soon. I mean, the deck droppers with bombers are pretty much out of ammo. A few shots more coming in. I mean, those shots are getting very good value, though. It's a very blobbed up infantry fight. Cetra probably wants to not be in this engagement for too long, because, I mean, you do have Luther there, and Cetra is low enough on health where Luther could, if he's able to get close enough, he could switch in, get some nice damage done. But a lot of the Tomb Kings are starting to disintegrate away, but the balance of power, yeah, is in the Vampire Coast's favor. As, I mean, Luther is just proven to be just a little too much for the Tomb Kings to handle. I mean, the Archers have just been distracted pretty much the whole game by the Bats and the Dogs. And even the Sirens are just keeping them occupied for as long as possible. And that Vampire Fleet Captain as well, with the heals that it has left and potentially any more summons, which would be very, very bad if they're able to get like just a pistol summons. Though that is starting to crumble now. Luther, though, is still free to just kind of sit into the air. You have plenty of Fellbats engaged with the Archers. Another breath attack looks like it's coming down. That did a lot of damage to what Cetra had left. And yeah, that Vampire Fleet Captain is going to be crumbling away. But again, I think there's just not enough left to deal with Luther. Though, if we can get... Because especially, I mean, these deck droppers, if they're able to deal with what's out there, we're going to have Luther being able to be free to just cycle as much as he can, just sit up and shoot for as long as he can, which honestly I think that's what the Vampire Coast would probably want to be doing here. He doesn't have to be engaged to do enough damage on Cetra. Just the ammo that he has left alone will be enough to deal with Cetra himself. And again, that's because if we look at what we have, some Tomb Guard, 3 units of Tomb Guards and a Spearman and Skeleton Warriors, none of which is really that much of a threat to Luther himself, as more shots are coming in onto Cetra. One of the units of deck droppers looks like they're going to be able to disintegrate, though the other unit is going to be able to just pretty much keep harassing those archers as Luther is free to deal with Cetra. Yeah, because if we look at... Cetra is going to be going down after just a few more shots. We'll take a quick look at what Luther has left. He's just about half of his healing. So he still has 2,000 hit points of healing left. And even if the Tomb Kings are able to survive long enough, they're not going to be able to whittle that down quickly enough, and Luther will probably end up getting his full healing cap. Down goes Cetra to the pistol of Luther Harkon, and I think the rest of the Tomb King army is going to be very soon to follow. Yeah, I mean, once his bats are down, but the bats have lasted just so long engaged with the skeleton archers. They're just able to keep... Like, I'm surprised how long the deck droppers are able to last. And now, yeah, Luther's just able to finish off these skeleton archers, and I think that's going to be game for the Tomb Kings. They don't have any leadership left, and even if Luther just had to sit in combat with all of this, it just wouldn't be enough. And another breath attack that he has saved up, going right into the middle of that Tomb King formation. And that was a very meaty attack, taking out quite a few units there, as now he engages. And even if he does nothing else but sit in engagement, I don't think that the Tomb Kings can deal with that. Yeah, the deck droppers, they do need to go down, because they... because Luther is a single entity. It does look like the deck droppers are about to engage here. And there we go. As they are just going to be chasing off the skeleton archers. As the skeleton archers were trying to pull through. Yeah, the deck droppers finished off those archers, but now they will need to pull in and engage the rest. Though I suppose it would only kind of benefit the coast here if they were just to stay in the air. So now they got a nice rear charge in, and this will be the engagement for the rest of the match. Neither side can pull out of this. Okay, so yeah. Though he shouldn't have been able to disengage there. Unless my understanding of that rule is okay, so my mistake on that side. So if we take a look at here, we'll just pull in, grab his healing stats. He still has 1500 left of healing. I suppose balance power actually just went a bit back in, well, it's not in the favor of the Tomb King, so it did come back a little bit. Yeah, because once the bats are engaged, they weren't supposed to disengage, I believe is what the ruling is. Because the engaging... So they were engaged before, and since they were engaged with... you have to maintain that engaging rule, unless I am mistaken. Because if the bats were engaged, Luther could have pulled out. I mean, Shetland keeps saying Tomb Kings, but as you look, I mean, it's still in the... Coast favor, but it is edging more and more. I mean, now it's even again. So I'm actually very surprised to see how much that happened. I guess the Tomb Guard really just, yeah, Shetland, you were right. Okay, so alright, so I may have misread then. Let me see. So yeah, so my understanding, at least, of the rules was for engagements, yeah, a single entity does not count as engaging, but so they can't disengage if there is not another multi-entity unit engaged. If a multi-entity unit is engaged, it can't disengage, even with Luther engaged, is my understanding of that. All right. Let's see, what do we want to get? Let's go with not Alpine Ridge. I know what we'll do. We will do... There it is, Pillar of Bone. Okay, let's take a look. So yeah, Mihawk, we are doing banner rules. Well, yeah, that rule is mostly so they don't you can't cycle charge with a single entity. So if he's able to cycle charge essentially with Luther, that entire end, like the Tomb Guard wouldn't have had a chance. All right, so Randomic should be thinking about his next picks. So the series is tied at 1-1. This is the finals. All right, so Random Next is going to be going Norska, banning Greenskins, and Lizardmen. So let's see, Norska banning Greenskins and Lizardmen. I mean, yeah, you have Coast, which has already been played, so Evanstar can't go with that. And I do think Greenskins have a good advantage against Norska, just from my experience, though I think some more experienced players may be able to speak otherwise. I guess Lizardmen, I guess I'd say that's slightly favorable in Lizardmen's favor, though I've definitely seen Norska do very, very well, depending on what builds they bring. Okay, so Evanstar is going to be going Empire versus Norska. I think Empire does have a slight advantage here. I mean, just some of the range units they have can really focus down a lot of Norska's big units. So like any Mammoths or even Manticores will be able to be focused fairly decently. Yeah, that replay of that last match between A-Move and Evanstar will... Yeah, there was rule breaks on both sides in that one, and I was going to have him replay it, but A-Move decided he didn't want to replay that match, so this is the situation that we're in with that, and we're just going to have to, we just had to kind of move on, and then we'll just, again, something that we're going to have to be paying attention to for the next one. And I think also part of that is just need a couple extra eyes on a few things, but we'll make sure time limits and all that stuff is much more strictly enforced for all the future tournaments that I do. So Evanstar is set, just waiting on Random Nicks. All right, looks like Random Nix is ready, so we will load on in. Alright, so for the Norskins, led by Randomnix, we do have a double feral mammoth. We also have a front line of, we have the Icehorn Marauders, a couple more Marauder units. We have 2 Marauder Berserkers, and we have 2 Marauder Spearmen as well. We have a Femir Balefine of Shadows with, looks like we have... Of course, yeah, Melkos Mystifying Miasma, the Enfeebling Foe, and then Scroll of Shielding and Arcane Conduit. For the Lord, we have Throg with Fight or Die and Foe Seeker, and then we have a Femir Wolf Werkin with his armor item, which gives a nice missile resist and armor to surrounding units. So for the Empire, we have Karl Franz up in the sky with a Jade Wizard to support him. We have a front line of Flagellants, and we have these 2 Spearmen of Shields on the outside flank, as well as Sigmar Sun. So a very nice, unbreakable front line to hold off the Norskins. A couple more Spearmen, and in the back line we have 2 units of Huntsmen. Very good to deal with the Mammoths themselves. We have Knights of the Blazing Sun, probably brought to make sure any Skin Wolves that would be brought, or anything that has regen, would be dealt with accordingly. Yeah, I think the Huntsmen are going to do very well against the Mammoths and focus fire with those, and Karl Franz himself is going to do well, I think. So, but yeah, otherwise, the skirmishing force at least, we have the 2 horsemen for Random Nix. I think, yeah, the skirmishing is going to be on the side of Norska, so we'll see how well he's able to whittle down as much as he can. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see if the front line of the Empire is able to hold off long enough. And I know the Feral Mammoths will do... There's nothing really to pin them in. I mean, you have the Knights of the Blazing Sun, so you could have the Mammoths kind of charge through, but you're probably going to want to keep them with their own, I guess, reinforcements. But yeah, we'll see how things go. Let's see for a... Shadows caster. I mean, Enfeebling Foe will do well with Karl Franz to kind of counteract his units or his items that he has. So he's brought both Reichling Runefang and Galmaraz. So it looks like, yeah, I haven't started saying he is ready. And we are underway. Yeah, Norskins don't have anything to fear in terms of any, wind spells or anything like that. We just have, take a quick look, I guess, on what, yeah, so just Earthblood and Regrowth by the looks of it. Earthblood will be good for the Knights of the Blazing Sun, and of course Regrowth will be used on Karl Franz himself, but we have a bit of an overload from the Norskin side. Everything's kind of focused on this one point. You have both of the Mammoths together, and of course the Werkin and Throg. So all of the single entities for Norska are in one spot, as the Mammoths are just going to be charging it. But that one Mammoth is taking quite a bit of damage from the focus fire of these Huntsmen, and there goes its first rampage. As now Karl Franz is going into, and with the support of the Knights of the Blazing Sun, this combo right here might just be enough to finish off that first Feral Mammoth very, very quickly. It looks like a Enfeebling Foe is being popped to counteract that, but it does not look like that Feral Mammoth will be surviving long at all, as it goes down very, very quickly, and a nice rear charge coming in from these Knights of the Blazing Sun, getting a nice rear charge into the Werkin and the other Feral Mammoth. So that one Feral Mammoth went down very, very fast. As you look now at how the rest of the line is doing, the At least we have some of the Marauders are able to start pushing into the back line, though these Knights of the Blazing Sun should be able to deal with them fairly well. The other Feral Mammoth is starting to get very low as well. It's already approaching half health, and it is rampaged and routing. So we do have the Knights of the Blazing Sun coming in to assist these Huntsmen, though we do have some more Spearmen pushing past the other infantry units, getting into the back line. And currently right now there isn't enough to completely block that off, as the infantry units of the Empire are trying to get back. But we do have a very good collapse from the Knights of the Blazing Sun onto the Norscan forces. So yeah, no wind spells on either side, as Throg is now engaged with Karl Franz. Is actually doing very well. We have I think the Knights of the Blazing Sun are seemingly surrounded. I don't know if they're really doing a whole lot. They're kind of surrounded by the favorability, but we now have the Huntsmen that are now focusing on to Throg, and they'll be doing very good damage. But it looks like we have probably a regrowth, and a regrowth is coming in and overcasted, so he's going to be getting 2,000 hit points of health back. Is going to be very, very good, as the Feral Mammoth is coming back, and Karl Franz is probably just going to drop right down on top of him, as it is isolated. We do have the Skinwolf Workin trying to get back. But now, yeah, even the balance of power is still fairly even, if a bit in the Empire's favor right now, as the attempts by Norska to shut down these Huntsmen have been foiled by these Knights of the Blazing Sun in the back. And that Lifecaster is still very much comfortable, as well as the other Feral Mammoth is just about to drop now to the focus fire from the Huntsmen. As now the Huntsmen's, their next target is going to be Throg. It's either going to be, Throg or the Werekin, but Throg's probably going to be their next main target to shoot at. And with the support of Karl Franz, that shouldn't be too much of a problem. So Norska really needs to break through this front line. They do have the skirmishing potential of these two horsemen, but there's not a whole lot that they can be targeting right now. Or I guess there's not a whole lot of burst damage to come from them. We do have some spears now coming in. Finally able to shut down these Huntsmen, as Throg and the Werekin are able to at least push off the Knights of the Blazing Sun. So with Throg and the Werekin both having nice regen, we'll be able to, as long as they're not bursted down by Karl Franz, they should be doing fairly well. Now they're able to push back these Huntsmen, though these Huntsmen are firing into these returning Marauders. It shouldn't be too long before those get completely pushed off. We have another unit of Marauders, though they are being hounded by the Knights of the Blazing Sun, and they probably will not make it to the Huntsmen for their engagement. So yeah, now we have, the Knights of the Blazing Sun have caught up with them and routed them. This other unit has routed as well, and Karl Franz is just kind of circling overhead. Empire, all they really need to do is screen out these units of spearmen, and as long as they're able to pull these Huntsmen out, they'll be free to focus on Throg through them, and Karl Franz will be able to kind of pick and choose his engagements as much as he wants. There's no real threats to him as long as he stays up in the air. And now here comes the Knights of the Blazing Sun trying to heal off Throg a bit, as Karl Franz is now dropping down with Foe Seeker, Stand Your Ground, Galmaraz, and Reichling Runefang. Norska does respond by dropping Enfeebling Foe, but that is a lot of buffs on Karl Franz, and Throg is now terrified. He does not have immune to psychology, so he is going to be routing, and there is a ton of mobility left for the Empire that will easily be able to peel off and chase him down. So now Karl Franz is now going to focus his attention on most likely the Skinwolf Werekin, but yeah, Random Nix does concede, and Evenstar will take the third match to put him up 2-1. So yeah, the Huntsmen, not a whole lot of kills, but they did a lot of damage on both of the Feral Mammoths, who did not do very well for Norska. But yeah, that was definitely a good showing by the Empire for that matchup. Now we'll go into the fourth match. So let's see who we will go with. Let's see. right, so we're going to go with Tower of Hoeth for our next matchup. Yeah, in that matchup, I think a Firecaster with Burning Head would have done very well against the infantry of the Empire. I mean, you could have argued with the Firecaster for either side, though I definitely had the Life Mage for the Empire. I mean, with Herd with Carl that's just a really good combo. It's very similar to Alariel with the Star Dragon in terms of just kind of the general strategy. But yeah, that is Norskins just kind of didn't have quite enough burst damage to deal with what the Empire had to stop them. I mean, like the Flagellants, Sigmar Sons did very, very well at holding the line, and Norskin just wasn't able to get back. And what units they were able to get back into the back line, they didn't last very long. The Knights of the Blazing Sun did very well, kind of just clearing out the back line, or clearing out Norskin's troops from their own back line. So they were able to get their engagements on like the Mammoths. That nice round off early on was very well, and then just peeling off anything that was able to push through their front line. So let's see here. Seven Star still has not made his picks yet, so we'll have, this is going to be the last pick double ban. If Randomnix is able to come back and take this one, we will be doing a pick 3 for the last. Yeah, that first one definitely got isolated alacrity. The second one, when it got broken off after it went to support the first one, that was a little late on that. And then once that one ran away, it was very isolated, and on its return, it just got broken apart by Knights of the Blazing Sun and Carl himself. Okay, so Evenstar now is going to be going Norska, banning High Elves and Chaos. So yeah, that is so pretty much just seeing one pick and then a switch up on the other. So yeah, we went back-to-back Vampire Coast, and now we're going back-to-back Norska. Well, I mean, at this point, you're not going to be able to ban all of the factions that you necessarily want to, since you can only ban the same faction once through the first 4 games, and then for the last one it'll be a pick 3 and then ban 1. I mean, I think High Elves do have the tools to deal with Norska. I think Silver and Guard are very good in that matchup. That wouldn't surprise me if Randomnix went with green skins. I don't think he's gone with them yet. Oh yeah, Lizardmen should also have a very good matchup against Norska. And Randomnix is going to be going Bretonia. So, yeah, this was a matchup that Evenstar went up against Prussian Prince earlier on. So we'll see if Evenstar brings a very similar pick to what he did earlier, or if we're going to be going with something a bit different. And we'll see what kind of Randomnix decides, because he was here for that matchup against Prussian Prince, so we'll see if how he deviates from that. I mean, I can see him going with the Fey and Gotrek combo. I think that's a fairly decent combo against Norska. Yeah, I mean, if the cavalry that you're going to bring as Bretonia, as long as you're at least cautious and stay away from the Fimir, kind of just work your way through the rest. But Norska, all they have to do is pretty much just stay compact, and it's really hard to break into that if the Fimir is at its core, because then the Fimir can just turn and it'll just do a lot of damage to any cav unit that it gets close to. Alright, so it looks like Random Mix is set. Might be seeing a rather interesting build. I know it is getting very late for them. Again, we're going to have to make sure things progress a lot faster this next time around. We might even go a little earlier. I know that's going to make it a little bit harder for some people to get up, but we will, I think maybe a little bit earlier wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. All right. So we are loading in. All right, so for Ratonia, it looks like we have the Green Knight has made an appearance, and if we take a look at the rest of the leadership department, it is Gotrek and the Fey Enchantress. So I was right on that mark. And then we have the lineup of peasant mobs in the front line. We have spearmen at arms, 4 of those, and then 3 units of Pox arrows. As for the cav unit, we do have the defenders of the Fleur de Lis, the Knights Errant ROR. We have 2 questing Knights of the Realm, and then we have another Knights of the Realm and a questing Knight. So a questing Knight and Knights of the Realm on both flanks. So a nice 5 cav force, with the Green Knight also do fairly well. As for the forces of Norska, looks like a fairly similar build. So we have I believe it is the same build. So we have the Marauders in the front line with the Brutes of the Hound. We have 2 Fimir Warriors with great weapons. We have the Norscan Warhounds and the Horsemen, pair of those. And then for the hero, we have Wulfric the Wanderer and a Fimir Balefine of Fire. So this is the same build that we saw earlier on. With Hunter Champions, Sea Fang, and then Burning Head, Fireball, and Flaming Cloak. So we'll see. I know Random Mix saw that, so we'll see if this build has been tailored to deal with that one. So we'll see how this squares off. Looks like both armies are pretty much squared away with one another. So we'll see. Just making a few minor adjustments on both sides, and they should be ready to go. Looks like Random Mix is ready, and Random Mix is also readied up as well. So yeah, we definitely have the kind of the hero blob on the Bretonians' left flank, as we have the Fey Enchantress with the Green Knight in support. And of course we have Gotrek, which do very well against the big units of Norska. And being unbreakable, he'll be a lot harder to bring down. Looks like we have a fireball coming in, probably targeting the Green Knight. We'll see if it is able to make contact. Looks like it will. Green Knight has not moved and takes quite a bit of damage. I think the Fae actually took some damage as well. Like, went to dodge, but ended up going right in front of the path, maybe hoping to block it. But the fireball did end up just going straight through. So yeah, now we just have the skirmishers kind of just firing in on both sides. So we do have these Knights of the Realm getting a little maybe ahead of themselves. Though there's nothing too immediate in the threats, as they're able to kind of easily pull out before they get any damage. Though Wulfric almost is able to get in a little charge, but they are able to escape with just a few shots from the Marauder Horseman. Another fireball going down, going right through, doing... did end up missing the Green Knight, just landing right in front, taking out a unit of the Knights of the Realm. And now the Knights of the Realm and the other cav forces are pretty much going to be... I mean, they should be able to get some nice charges in on this flank if they're quick enough to pull out. They do get a charge right into these Fimir, though, on Bretonnian's right flank and Norskin's left. That's probably not their best engagement. They should probably be pulling out right away. Those Fimir warriors are going to do so much damage to those questing knights. You see those questing knights are pretty much just melting under the onslaught of those Fimir warriors. As now we can take a look to the main blob engagement. As a Sea Fang goes down, not really any good units to clip through. I mean, clip some of the Knights of the Realm, but otherwise not a whole lot. Though the Green Knight has pretty much healed up to full. And now the Fey Enchantress is going to be getting a nice damage effect in the surrounding areas. But yeah, that was... Yeah, this flank over here, Bretonnian, these questing knights just got absolutely eviscerated by those Fimir warriors. And now so the other Fimir warrior is actually in this main engagement up here. So they'll be doing some fairly good damage, though Gotrek will be doing very good damage in return. I think that is really where Gotrek needs to be. It would be nice if they got a little bit, maybe some support from the peasant mob and get the peasant bowman with pox arrows firing in, as a lot of these units are now starting to rout. You actually have the Fey Enchantress is also routing, has taken quite a bit of damage because she had Hunter of Champions down, and Wulfric the Wanderer doing a lot of damage to the Fey Enchantress. So this, yeah, the Norskins really won their far left flank, and those victorious units are now coming in to support the main engagement, though these Marauder Horsemen should probably just pull off and deal with the Fey Enchantress, and the Fey Enchantress does go down, so it does look like Evan's Star is taking the lead in this fight, as kind of with the Fey Enchantress gone, that is a big blow to the Bretonnian army. The Green Knight is also taking quite a bit of damage, actually. I think maybe that was from the Fimir Balefiend, who does do fire damage and I believe magic damage as well. Yes, no, it does magic damage with armor sundering. It looks like we have a nice burning head that's about to be going through, as it's just going to roast through these peasant mobs. So that did very well, taking out a lot of that chaff infantry. And now you can see the leadership for Bretonnia is not in a good way. You do have the Green Knight and Gotrek, both unbreakable units, but against what they have against them is probably not going to be going very good. You have, of course, Wulfric, who will do very well if he's just turns and deals with the Green Knight, though the Fimir Balefiend is doing decent enough with that magic damage. And Gotrek is just kind of caught up in the mass of Norscan troops here. So even if those two are able to deal with the Fimir Balefiend, you still have two Fimir warriors with great weapons. You have the Skinwolf Werekin that is pretty much going to be regenerating as well, and is a big threat to the pretty much all of the Bretonnian forces. And these defenders of Fleur-de-Lis probably just are not going to be enough to deal with Wulfric, as more and more units are starting to rout for Bretonnia. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Random Mix, I know he's tired. It was getting late for him even before these finals started, but yeah. So yeah, now the Green Knight is pretty much in danger low, and the Green Knight does drop, and now it's just Gotrek and some Spearmen at Arms left to try and carry the day. I mean, the defenders of Fleur-de-Lis will be able to kind of mop up anything on the outside, but getting into this blob, it would probably much be suicide, as Random Mix has conceded. And I think he just ended it right away. Yeah, losing the Fey Enchantress as early as he did, and then, yeah, those Fimir warriors with great weapons. All these kills were pretty much against cav units, and they were at like full health, so there wasn't really a whole lot left that can deal with them. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, random mix already off. So yeah, Evan Star will take the next spot in the Mortarch. So we'll take a quick look at our final list of contestants. So now we have our third Mortarch, and update the final bracket as well. And yeah, that will be it for this one. So yeah, we'll see about the timing on the next one. And our next one is going to be on this next coming Friday, but we'll maybe see if we can maybe push it up just an hour, having it up to what I mean to be 10 o'clock my time, so the west coast of would be about 8 o'clock start time. But it will help a lot of the Euro players, which I know is probably the majority. And yeah, random mix up till 1. So yeah, we'll definitely try and get this thing a little earlier. I mean, this final, the semis and finals did start, I'd say it was about a half hour or even closer. It was probably between a half hour and an hour later than I initially wanted, with the kind of conflicts that came up with the bottom half of the bracket. But yeah, we will definitely be trying to improve everything for the next one. And before we head out, I will be dropping the Discord link real quick for those who are still sticking around. All right, so yeah, here is the Discord link. So that will be where all of our announcements will be held, and then we will also be posting any other videos that I post there. But yeah, thank you all for joining the stream today. I hope you all enjoyed. Sorry for the delay again, and we'll catch you again Friday for the next installment of the Rise of the Mortarchs. So, thank you all for watching again, and as always, have a good one.